Today, our program is the Zahedan Massacre. Which was perpetrated by Persian regime against the people of Balochistan. So I start the program with the introduction of the title, The Genocide of All Occupied People, that include Kurds, Arabs, Baloch, Azeri, Turkmens, and others who have been subjugated, oppressed, and occupied as well as colonized by the Persian regime. I briefly explain the genocide of the Baloch people by Persia. The genocide of Baloch people under the occupation of Persia dates back from 500s Enodomi AD, when during the reign of Khosrow I, who is also known as Noshirwan I. When Noshirwan massacred thousands of Baloch people, burned, ruined their villages for not having Baloch surrender their sovereignty and political decision-making power to the Persia. Since Balochistan has been occupied by Persia from 1928, we have hardly ever seen a week or day in which we have not been murdered, subjugated, or subjected to ethnic cleansing, genocide by the Persian state, which is now called the Islamic Republic of Iran. Be it Mahu Baloch or Masa Amini, or an individual from Al-Ahwazi or other occupied people in Iran, we all have the same fate of slavery and genocide. It was last year, 22 July, when a minor Baloch girl, Mau Baloch, who was aged 15, when she was confined in a police station by the chief of Shahbar police, who tortured and raped Mahu Baloch. This inhuman action by the Islamic State of Iran caused the masses of occupied Balochistan to protest and chant slogans of hatred against Tehran. The protest of massacre, the people, they protested to the street of Dozab, now which is called Zahedan, to show solidarity with Mahu Baloch and condemn the evil act of the state of Iran. On 30 September 2020, the Islamic Republic of Iran indiscriminately opened fire on the peaceful protesters, killing more than 100 people from occupied Balochistan and leaving more than 200 people injured. In fact, cases or incidents like Zahedan Massacre, which we also call the Bloody Friday, Mao Baloch, Masa Amini from Kurdistan are not sudden happenings but planned designs by the occupier Iran to sustain its occupation over us. I mean the Awazis, the Kurds, the Baloch, the Azeris and the other occupied nations under the occupation of Iran. We must be sure of one thing, that colonizer or occupier never respects and ensures our right of life, equality and freedom, because the colonizer has come with intent to murder, to massacre and ruin you whole, but not to respect you. The only option for the occupied people under the occupation of Persia, now it's called Islamic Republic of Iran, is to resist and only resist, so that to achieve the power to decide our political fate. So today we have gathered here to commemorate the Zahedan Massacre, as well as our will to ensure our solidarity with each other against the occupation of the Islamic Republic of Iran, against the all occupied nations. Now, to start the program, I would like to call upon the stage, or before calling someone upon the stage, we have some speakers today who will express their views and their worries and their concerns against the Islamic Republic of Iran. Today we have many people who will represent their views on the behalf of the subjugated people, oppressed people, occupied people under the occupation of Iran.
Thank you.
Before that, it looks like there are close ties between month of September and terrorist states and organizations. We had 9/11 in US and 30 September 9 in Balochistan. حقیقتا اینه که متاسفانه این جنایتی که در بلوچستان اتفاق افتاد و کشتاری که در بلوچستان اتفاق افتاد، دیروز داشتم تلفنی با یکی از بچه‌ها در بلوچستان زاهدان صحبت می‌کردم که این شخص وقتی باش صحبت می‌کردم در مورد سالگرد کشتار زاهدان پرسیدم، گفت برادر جان هر سال ما کشتار داریم. از روزی که ما خودمون شناختیم هر سال در بلوچستان کشتار داره اتفاق میفته. آنچه در بلوچستان اتفاق میفته یک نسل کشی است، یک جنوساید سیستماتیکی هست. امروزه دانشمندان و اسکولرها میگن که جنوساید تنها کشتن مردم نیست. اگر ما اینو مقارنه بکنیم، جنوساید کلچرال هست، جنوساید اکونومیک هست، جنوساید ایژوکیشن هست، همه این نسل ها در واقع در بلوچستان داره اتفاق میفته. بر اساس خود آماری که جمهوری اسلامی ایران به در واقع منتشر کرده، وضعیت آموزش در بلوچستان بدترین وضعیت بهداشت، بیشترین آمار مرگ و میر کودکان و نوزادان و مادران باردار در بلوچستان هستش. وضعیت فقر، بالاترین آمار فقر در بلوچستان هست. به خاطر همین ما میبینیم بلوچ ها رو به کارهای مرگباری مثل سوختبری میارن که دهها بلکه سالانه صدها بلوچ کشته میشن. اعدام ها در بلوچستان یک برنامه سیستماتیکی که سالانه صدها بلوچ در بلوچستان و در شهرهای مختلف ایران اعدام میشن. کشتارهای فراقضایی extrajudicial killing در بلوچستان به راحتی توسط ماموران انتظامی و سپاه اتفاق میافتد. این مشکلات یک طرف. مشکل دیگه ای که هست، سازمان‌های حقوق بشری متاسفانه این مسئله رو به صورت جدی نمیگیرن. آنچه در بلوچستان اتفاق میافتد متاسفانه توسط سازمان‌های حقوق بشری به صورت جدی پیگیری نمی شود. من دیروز به یک سازمان حقوق بشری نام چندین نفر بازداشتی رو دادم که در سالگرد زاهدان بازداشت شدن، اما این سازمان حتی این اسامی رو ذکر نکرد، فقط یک پاراگراف کوتاهی نوشت که چندین نفر بازداشت شدن بدون اینکه جزئیات رو بپردازه. ما فکت فایندینگ ماشین رو داشتیم، با اینکه جنایت بلوچستان در واقع بزرگترین جنایت بود پارسال، اما فوکوس فکت فایندینگ ماشین هم در واقع بر سر بلوچستان نبوده و بر جاهای دیگه بوده. به این خاطر اون دیدگاه ریسیستی که بعضی از فعالان حقوق بشر ایرانی دارند، مسئله بلوچستان آنطور که شاید و باید متاسفانه نه در میدیا و نه در سازمان‌های حقوق بشری به آن صورت مطرح می شود. ما از طرف خودمون به عنوان سازمان حقوق بشری کار میکنیم، گزارش می نویسیم و دکومنتیشن میکنیم، اما متاسفانه به اون جایی که به اون سازمان بین‌المللی که باید برسه نمیرسه متاسفانه. و این نشانگر مشکلی که در بلوچستان هست. میگن که ما ایرانی هستیم. اگر ما هم قبول کرده باشیم این مسئله رو، ولی خب قضیه بلوچستان و مشکلات بلوچستان به هیچ وجه مورد توجه حتی اپوزیسیون هم قرار نمیگیره. اپوزیسیونی که رسانه ها در دست اونهاست یا حتی سازمان های حقوق بشری یا حتی فعالان حقوق بشری، فقط مواردی رو که میدونن به درد اونها میخوره و به درد در واقع کارشون میخوره، به صورت خیلی مختصر به اون موارد میپردازن بدون اینکه واقعا کل وضعیت بلوچستان رو نگاه بکنن. ما در بلوچستان کلی مشکلات در واقع خیلی عمیقی داریم، اما
like 2-3 months. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. Okay, after 2-3 months, okay, I was a youngster at high school. Okay, when the Pasdaran came, they really thought that Balochistan, in the same way like Kurdistan, in the same way like Al-Ahwaz, it was like a foreign country. When they came, it was just very violent, very aggressive, and so forth. So the killing started from that time. What they started killing. They said, look, there are some people, I don't know, hands. So they started killing them. The same way, exactly by helicopter and everything. And then soon after that, okay, we can see that what happened like in Al-Ahwaz. It was a massacre in Al-Ahwaz. Then we had, okay, in Kurdistan is very well known. So that the Kurdish, okay, people that never had like this sort of like a really criminal activity for months. So all the military of Iran, they used it for Kurdistan. They, of course, they use other people, okay, like mullahs, like other people to really support them to against Kurdistan. They said, look, the Kurdish people, they want to separate and so forth. And they did it to Turkmenistan. All the leaders of the Turkmen, they were, okay, occupied and they were killed. And then soon after that, of course, is always for women. They started all the groups of people, including the leftists, by the way, to use them against women. Because women, they started to protest. They said, look, we want equal rights. They said, no, no, these guys, really, they don't accept the Islamic rules. And of course, you know what they did to the women all over, okay, Iran, not just one place, okay? But in Balochistan, it was really step by step. So they started, they called them like Khan, and they destroyed them, used other people in the same way that in other parts of, like, okay, in Kurdistan or in the rest of other part, they use it. And then even the leftish, even the left, like, that they regarded themselves like, I don't know, social democrat or leftish, even they used them. So you use their view against them as well. That's how they did it. Like all the forces, they used them against women. And then what happened was a long time, they said, look, all the communists, all the Marxists, or whoever, like, they regard themselves communists and Marxists, they started to get rid of them. And I'll tell you what happened. It was the first anniversary, by the way. It was the first anniversary of the Islamic regime. In Balochistan, we had demonstration. We had a lot of demonstration. Like we had demonstration in Saravan, we had demonstration in Zahedan, we had demonstration in Iran, okay, mainly in this sort of, okay. So what they did, the Islamic regime used mullahs, Afghans, of course, those people, they settled in Balochistan against those people, okay? So they're attacking them, they're really killing them. And then I remember that the demonstration that we had, I can remember very, okay, because, you know, a few days after that, I was arrested. The first anniversary of the Islamic regime, we had demonstration in Saravan. And that day, the pastor, they came, and they killed a number of people. They injured quite a lot of people, and they killed, as far as I remember, okay, someone, Mehrab can maybe say, maybe he knows better than I do. They killed one of my friends, Amin Nurai, 16 years old, and at least, I think, 3 or 5 women. So 3 days after that, I was arrested, okay, disappeared somehow. Then again started. So you had huge demonstration in Sarawan, people that attacked everywhere, they bent. So the other part of maybe in Iran, in Persian part, maybe there was no news of like death to Khomeini, but in Balochistan, we used to say death to Khomeini and so forth. Then started to kill people that they're smugglers. They use other, okay, sources, including the, okay, leftist organization, okay, because they're smugglers, or they use the mullahs, by the way. And then he went step by step, and they came to the mullahs themselves. And it was the same policy that Islamic regime, or in Pakistan, okay, Punjabi regime, they use exactly the same. So you destroy one you regard as enemy, and you use other people, and you destroy this group, and then you go to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. Now, the point is, no, what we have, always, okay, dictators are not going to last forever. So they create their own graves. So dictators, what they do, they create one prison for themselves, one hell for the rest of other people. That's the nature of the dictatorship. And now it got to the point that I think it's our time is Turk-Azeri. I think that can be very, very, okay, influential in terms of changing the whole area. And it could be really like our brothers and sisters Arab in, okay, Al-Ahbas, because economically they're the most powerful in that region. And of course, it could be our brothers and sisters in Kurdistan. They are the most organized political organization and the most secular, by the way. So Zan Zindagi Azadi, okay, is the slogan that can change the whole region. And it came from our brothers and sisters in Kurdistan and influenced the rest of us, okay? So the rest of the region. So that's why I'm saying that really this century is our century. And I'm not going to talk really more than that because all the my dear friends, they come and speak. So this century is our century. And how we can get equal rights? We cannot get equal rights unless we've got total independence. We are not against anyone. So all the people that, okay, in different parts of Iran or big cities, okay, they have been killed, they're our sister, they're our children, their okay, father, mother, and so forth. They're as there as anyone else, really. But there is no way that we are going to undermine our rights or the rights of other like nations, like Turk-Azeri, like Turkmens, okay, like the Arab Ahwazi, like our Kurdish, Baloch, and the rest of the like Lord, Gilak, Mazandar, and so forth. So the right of Balochistan is going to be when we have the total right is when we got rid of the another horrible regime, the Punjabi system that okay in Pakistan, because thousands and thousands of our brothers and sisters and our kids, our children disappeared in Eastern Balochistan is not any better than the Western Balochistan, and it's the only time that we can get our rights is when we've got our complete rights. And as we said, we are not against anyone. We can have mutual friendship, mutual interest with other countries, mutual benefit with other countries, mutual respect with other like nations. But it's the only one when we decide, when we determine our future or when we determine our legal framework and economy and so forth, okay? So thank you very much for coming here. We appreciate you to, okay, your solidarity. Thank you so much.
Wishing you all the success in serving the just Balochi cause. Also, I would like to thank you for the kind invitation and giving me the opportunity to express and share with you and with your guests my opinion. As you are aware, ladies and gentlemen, the struggle of the non-Persian nation in the so-called Iran has begun from the first day of the establishment of the Iranian state, which followed the occupation of the lands of the nation, of the non-Persian nation, that used to enjoy their political, social, and cultural life throughout the ages. The identity of the new Iranian state was imposed on the expense of the identity of the occupied peoples. The modern Iran state did not hesitate to implement various colonial policies to erase the identity of the subjugated people in order to achieve the assimilation of these people into the manufactured Persian identity. The Arab people of Ahwaz suffered the most from the oppressive policies, including land confiscation, demographic change, and attempting to erase the Arab identity of Al-Ahwaz. These policies not only targeted the Ahwazi people, but also extended to environment, including seas, rivers, marshland, farms, forests, and even animals, which were not spared from the Iranian regime policy. In contrast, our people, our oppressed people, have resisted these policies since the establishment of the modern Iranian state. As for Al-Ahwaz, our struggle began from the first day of the military occupation of Al-Ahwaz, utilizing all means and methods in continuous uprising and revolution based on the changing policies and circumstances in each era. It started when the late Sheikh Khaz'al was kidnapped, followed by the uprising of the Sheikh Muhyiddin al-Zebar, and continued with the revolution of the Bani Turuk and people's uprising in Sosa. Resistance took on an organized character and leadership. For example, in 1964, our struggle turned to the modern struggle when our first, party was established by three Ahwazi martyrs, Muhyi and Isa and Duhrab. In 1979, we came to after the Iranian Revolution, after the Iranian Islamic Revolution. On 1979, After the Islamic Revolution, our people started their uprising and demanding their their right. But the new Iranian regime, they denied to even acknowledge our right. So as a result of this uprising, more than 500 people were massacred by the Iranian regime. We call it Bloody Wednesday on 30th May 1979, when the city of Al-Muhammara. So various organizations were established in critical stage, taking on their responsibility of struggle in challenging and sensitive conditions. This organization sacrificed martyrs for the homeland of the Al-Ahwaz. Many of our groups, many members of our groups were, martyrs during the uprising of the establishment of this organization. The Patriotic Arab Democratic Movement is the result of the new era. When in 1990s, a group of Ahwazi, intellectuals, led by martyr Muhammad Sharif al-Nawasiri, who was assassinated by the Iranian regime in 2005 in Netherlands, 2007 in Netherlands. So we established Padmas, which officially was founded in 2002 inside Al-Ahwaz. To fulfill their duty toward their people striving to activate the principle of the self-determination for the Arab Al-Ahwazi people, using the strategy of mass resistance to encompass various oppressed segments of the Al-Ahwazi society, especially the marginalized people or the marginalized group. The effort of the movement bore fruit in 2005 when uprising, when the political Patriotic Arab Democratic Movement (PADMAS) played a key role in the planning, coordinating, and managing the uprising. This marked a new beginning in our people struggling. In the uprising of 2005, we call it Al-Intifada, Intifada 15 Nisan 2005. This uprising started a new way of struggling and against the Iranian. Our people found their way to struggle against the Iranian policy by taking or using the mass demonstration and unrest in the region. So we used to have this kind of uprising, but the 2005 was a really big jump of our people to achieve their right. So, ladies and gentlemen, despite the increased awareness among our nations, challenges still surrounded us, which one of the most significant one is the colonial policies. We know all the colonial policies and the occupied policies. Iran tried to change demographic change, make demographic change in our land, try to build a struggle among our people. So try to use different way and method and to prevent us from from resisting and not being united inside our community and with other community as well. So the other challenge that we believe that we are facing in the current situation is the opposition, the Iranian opposition. The Iranian opposition, we believe they are not differ much from the ruling regime. This opposition does not even acknowledge the existence of the non-Persian nation, let alone to recognize their basic right. The opposition only knows how to ride the waves and to exploit the sacrifice of our non-Persian nations. So they try to, when the massacre happened in Balochistan last year, they tried to use that. They said this is the Iranian. They don't recognize even that these people are Baloch. They are struggling and demanding their right. They are not Iranian. They don't say that we are Iranian. So we live in this territory so-called Iran, but we have our own identity. We have our own right. So they try to use our struggle, and we give, we pay the cost, but they use it for themselves in their media, and internationally. And unfortunately, the Western, the international community, they are with them. We are always still not reached the international community. We need to work hard to get to that point, to say that these people that massacred in Kurdistan, in Balochistan, in Al-Ahwaz, in Azaz, Azerbaijan, and in Turkmenistan, they are not Persian. They are demanding their right. They are different from the centralists. So we have seen how these people, the Iranian opposition, along with the journalists loyal to the Iranian regime, discussing themselves, and as a reporter, attempted to appropriate the sacrifice of our people at different stages. They made the same in 2019 when our people were massacred in Mahshur, when more than 200 people were massacred by the Iranian regime. They were massacred inside the marshland. So this massacres of our nation is not the first one, and would it be the last one? Then it will continue in the future. If we wouldn't be aware of what we have to do in the future, we will face, our people will pay the cost, and the other will take the fruit. So I don't want to take most of your time. In conclusion, we emphasize the importance of the unity among the non-Persian people and solidarity with each other. We also stress the need to draw up a strategy to confront these challenges. This should not prevent us from opening the door to negotiate with those Persian parties that recognize, we don't want to say that we are not recognizing the Persian or those parties that recognize our right. If they recognize our right, okay, we are happy to stand on one table and this dialogue with them, but we have to be in the same stage, at the same level, not being that they will be up in upper level. We are the lower level. We have to be in the same level, and negotiation will be face to face and not through not cheating. That let's get rid of this government, let's get rid of this regime, and then we will find out in the future democracy will give you the right. That the same thing that were said to us by Khomeini. So we don't want to make the same mistake again after toppling this regime, and then we'll be alone. So at the end of my speech, I would like to again express our party's solidarity with the Balochi nation and wish you all the success. We are united, and we will be successful as far as we united. If we united, we will be successful, inshallah. So the Patriotic Arab Democratic in Al-Ahwaz. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me here today. On this very, very important subject. Firstly, I'd like to discuss the issue of colonialism and power propagation in the region. Initially, we thought our problem was external colonialism and the imperialist ideology. However, that is just the surface. The imperialists taught the colonized something radical and sinister with fascist undertones. The legacy of colonialism, of a superior race, one that had the birthright to govern and dictate over others, one whose language and culture was so superior.
From Bahrain, if you can give him Faisal, Bahrain, if you can give him speak.
One whose language and culture was so superior and more civilized that it would be the only one acknowledged by government institutions such as school, science, law, and economics. In the fallout of many empires, including the British and French, they began carving up land with complete disregard for culture, language, history, geopolitics of the society and space. With the land carved up, they created nation-states, partitioning India, creating Pakistan and oppressing the Baloch, dividing the dominantly Baloch land between Afghanistan, Pakistan and Iran. Similarly, the Kurdish people were divided into 4 parts between the newly created nation-states of Iraq, Turkey, and also Iran and Syria. The right of self-determination of the peoples includes the right to a state of their own. However, the foundation of the state does not increase the freedom of the people. Nation-states have become serious obstacles for any social development. Democracy cannot be imposed by the capitalist system and its imperial powers, which only damage democracy. We, as the Kurdish People's Democratic Assembly, working in solidarity with communities, including Pajak, Qajar, Freedom for Balochistan Movement, Al-Ahwaz movements, and many others, including the Tamil Ilam group. Together, the Assembly believes in working with all communities, uniting in the face of adversity to end colonialism and oppression, finding a solution and system that brings us all together, coexisting in peace, moving away from systems of governance that were designed by the Western imperialists to control the MENA region. Last year, before the Jina Amini's death, in Balochistan with Sistan, a 13-year-old girl was interviewed by a commander in the Iranian police. He raped her. Her family couldn't report it because the Iranian regime would most likely arrest them. The Fars people haven't spoken about it, so again, the communities that are oppressed by the Iranian regime are suffering without a platform to speak on, and their experiences are being extinguished by the dominantly Fars community voice. Many do not want to discuss it or notice it because it means acknowledging that for these ethnic groups, they are demanding for separation from Iran, demanding their right to self-determination. Or perhaps there are many who are not willing to yet acknowledge the fact that they themselves have participated in the colonialism, or so often looked the other way while ethnic groups in Iran have faced genocide. There are many possible reasons, but what I do know is that if we unite, our voices cannot be drowned out. Last year, the Iranian regime began shooting randomly into a crowd of civilians, some leaving mosque and some on their way to school. Over 300 people died, including children. This year, again, they began attacking the civilians in Zahedan. We are here today in recognition and in memorial of these martyrs. We are here today as a community in solidarity with Balochistan and Sistan. We are here today as every day to demand our right to self-determination. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome everyone to commemorate our dearest one, our scared one, obviously the one they paid their life for our freedom. We obviously condemn them, we crime against Balochistan, and we condolence ourselves to our brothers and sisters. Our brother from other side of the world mentioned United Nations, and we all been criminalized by the United Nations. Why? Because they make a minority of the people to rule the whole wide world. So actually, UN and United Nations, they themselves are crime people. They themselves, their law is not based on the reality, based on the power. So when the law is based on the power, it means unfairness, it means crime behind that, it means killing the people, it's okay. That is why a lion from Africa has been killed, been highlighted in all the news in the world, but thousands of the Balochi people, Kurdish people, Azeri people, Tambalinas people, all over the world been killed and never been highlighted in the world. Why? Because this law, the UN, has been created to legitimize the crime. The law is legitimize the crime that the puppet do it in the rest of the world. One of the puppets is Iran, Syria, Turkey, and Iran, and Sri Lanka. We should remember that when there was a genocide being caused in Sri Lanka, thousands of the people being killed, Ban Ki-moon go there and he gave the peace prize to the leader of the Sri Lanka. When Afrin was invaded, thousands of the women and children have been homeless, bombing over the civilian people. Ban Ki-moon go to UN and give a peace prize to Turkish. What does that tell us actually? This is tell us United Nations itself is a crime organization, and they have a puppet to do the crime in the rest of the world, which we've been victim of that. But as our martyrs pay our life every single day, they put their chest in front of the wallet for our freedom. We don't need to cry. We only need to unite ourselves against before anyone United Nations and then their puppet. For that, we need every single life in our nation, like women, children, our brave people. To work against the criminal states like Iran, Turkey, Sri Lanka, all other in the world is not easy. You have to pay their life. But their life shouldn't be just finished with the condolence and sadness. As I said, we have to organize ourselves. We have to, as much as I love my Kurdish people, I should love my Balochist people. Why? Because we all suffer from one point, one problem. And we cannot succeed anything without being united. Before anything, Kurdish people have to unite it within itself. Balochi people should unite within itself. Azeri people, Arab people, anyone will suffer from this criminal state. And then we all would be united. Of course, during the time Kurdish people united itself, we won't forget our Balochist people. We have to share our idea. We have to share our policy. But if I cannot organize Kurdish people, how can I help the Baloch people? Exactly. So for that reason, we need to organize ourselves. Before anything, woman. I am representing Persian in Rojava, Kurdistan, in East Kurdistan. We cannot fight this government until women will be involved. Of course, women are scared that they've been raped. Rape is not something you have to be shamed. The opposite side have to be shamed. You don't do nothing. You just defend your nation. You cannot bring a brave people like these people, they paid their life without having 3 mom. Without mom to defend her right. And we cannot be united when we forget half of our nation. It's impossible, and it is not knowledgeable. And if our enemy look at us, they think we actually are not that much smart. That is why Kurdish people, since the beginning of the Islamic Republic, we condemn that government. We never legitimized Iranian government rule over Kurdistan, Balochistan, or anywhere else in Iraq. That is why Khomeini made a jihad against the Kurdish people. Okay? When Kurdish people withdraw, they put the force on other nation, and the woman, as Dr. Shafran mentioned. But we have to always remember that as a whole white walls mentality, that woman is the first slavery in the world. And that unshamefully, our man being equipment in the hand of our enemy to put the woman in the house. If you look at all the men that they proudly represent themselves, they are so happy to put their woman, their sister, their wife, or their daughter at home. Why? We don't understand that. Why are you happy to represent yourself as a against of the occupation, but you left the rest of family at home? In fact, when you left them, they are weaponless of the idea. When Daesh attacked one side of the Kurdistan, that side have no idea about their right. And you see what happened. Thousands of the men being killed, thousands of the women being arrested as a war weapon to rape them and things like that. But the other side of the Kurdistan, women was mobilized by the idea of the slogan of Jinjian Azadi. You know what they done. They are not only being raped, but they pushed back ISIS. The beginning, crumbling ISIS was start from there. And then, all the other states tried to help the Kurdish people. Okay? Just slogan of the Jinjian Azadi, the person created that lots of Western countries try to act like they're supporting slogan of the Jinjian Azadi. Actually, the leader, the professor created this direction 40 years ago, being arrested by the whole white world nation. Whole white world nation being work together to catch that person. In the whole world, they're pumping money to the university to create an independent person, to create it, well, I'm forgiving it, to create a person to feeding them, to create a person to make an idea that everyone would be united for their benefit. But the person being in the prison was created the idea, whole people united, specifically women and the people being opposed by the, being impressed by nation state. This idea been created by Abdullah Öcalan from North Kurdistan, and he been cursed by the America, Musa, Turkish state, and so on, and Russia. And it is so weird that Russia had a cold war with the America in that time, but united America to curse one person. So for that reason, I invited Baloch women and other men who represented their nation in this room, but they didn't bring their families. I invited all of them before they call me to them work together. They have to call their own family. We have to call our sister to hold our hand, because women doesn't only make the fight, but only make the resolution, make the way that we go, make our nation without blood. Okay? Woman idea is more important than the man's idea. Since the nation state, the world is under the hand of the man. That is why all this world is being created. Thank you very much. Once again, I'm sending for the
My name is Faisal Al-Ahwadi, the official speaker for Ahwadi Democratic Popular Front. First of all, I would like to express my sincere sympathy and support to Baloch occupied nation and to the martyrs, to Baloch martyrs who has sacrificed their life for Balochistan freedom, for Balochistan independence, for Balochistan dignity. I have prepared a speech, but I left it in my phone. I want to talk to you face to face, directly, without reading my words from my phone. What happened in Balochistan last year, where 100 people died in a cold blood by the Iranian occupation regime, was not the first and last in the non-Persian struggle for their dignity against the Iranian occupation regime. What happened in Al-Ahwaz in 2019, in Mahshur Massacre. What happened in Al-Ahwazi Intifada in 2005, where the Iranian occupation regime was putting the Ahwazi live people in the boxes and throw them in the rivers. What happened in Kurdistan, in Women Life Freedom, where in many Kurdish cities we saw many people, many Kurdish citizens were caught by the Iranian regime, and no one paid attention. What happened in South Azerbaijan, Turk nation, in 2006, where the Iranian media has made the joke about the nation that led to the uprising, and many, much more sacrificed by other nations. Kurdistan, Balochistan, Turkmen, Ahwaz, we are all paying cost for our dignity. It's fine. What's happening, it has two important messages. One local and one international. For the local, it's for all the non-Persian nations, leaders, peoples, to come together much more. If the non-Persian nations, leaders and activists, the amount of time they paid for their reliances on the Western and other infrastructure or aliens power to help them from the getting liberated, to put it for their development and cooperation, they will get liberated very quickly. We as a non-Persian nation activists, we need to look into our people, into our leaders, into our organization, to build our path much more efficient and so we should not expect someone from other planet comes and say, okay, Baloch nation, this is your independence. No. Ahwaz nation, this is your independence. No way. Always independence. Getting liberated need blood, need sacrifice, need struggle. Without struggle, we can never ever gain our rights back. And we will stay for another decade if we don't stand up for the way that these occupiers, as you explained earlier, need to get out of our land. Sooner or later, to build a future for our next generations, we need to stand up. If I don't sacrifice myself, if I don't defend my land, who will defend it? Foreigners? They will never do it. If foreigners want to help us, they are not helping without any expenses. We will be colonized. If external people will help us, we will be colonized in a most developed way that we will have no decision making for our land. We have to pay from our natural resources. We have to pay. We can't decide for ourselves. That's the internal message that we need to rely on. In terms of the international message, the continuous crimes that happening against Baloch, against Ahwazi, against Kurd, against South Azerbaijani Turk, and most recently against Bahraini nation in Jizan, what happened? It sent a strong message to all the international powers. If they think with the way that they are going on, with just by especially the United Nations, by expressing their concern about what's happening in Iran, they should be expected that the Iranian crime will come to the Western countries soon or later. They think that if they just showed their, let's say, concern about, but concern for what? For 100 people in Balochistan, 200 people in Al-Ahwaz, in Kurdistan, in South Azerbaijan are dying in a matter of minutes. You show your concern? This remembers me to the Suella Braverman, the Internal Ministry of UK, when she talked in the New York. She said the UN Declaration for Refugees is not fit for purposes. I would declare here that the UN Declaration for the indigenous people, for the non-Christian nations, is not fit for purposes. UN Declaration and Charter need to be updated in terms of the, when it comes to preserve the indigenous people. If we look around the world, all the people, Scotland, in Spain, in Africa, in Asia, all the people are struggling for their independence, for their dignity. But no one helps them, unless it's the matter of, as our brother says, is the matter of interest. If it is the matter of interest, next day you will get liberated. Regimes like Shahid Saddam Hussein in Iraq or in Libya, it's in a matter of days they have been brought down, toppled, because it comes for some other country's interest. So again, I would emphasize, we as ADPF support, and we express our sincere condolences and support to our brothers in Free Balochistan Movement, for the Baloch nation, which is, we are brothers with them. We are in the same path for getting along with other non-Persian nations, and we are calling for a robust move by the international community to stop, to deter further bloodshed, what happened in Balochistan. And this, I would send a message to Arabian Gulf countries as well. If you want to be safe from the Iranian occupation regime crimes, it's the best for you to support the non-Persian nations. The way that you will get your peace and prosperity for all the Arabic, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Emirat, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, Urdun, Maghreb, Jazair, if they want to get their dignity, their prosperity, peace, it will come with the little support. Instead of buying weapons from Western countries, with the few support, little support for non-Persian nations, that's enough for you to stay all your life in peace and prosperity. Thank you again, and again I pay my tribute and sympathy with the Baloch nation. When it comes to Balochistan, what happened yesterday, I am, as an Ahwazi, I will consider myself as Balochistan. Man, when it comes as a crime against the Balochistan nation, I will proudly consider myself as a Balochi. This is the honor. I get it when it comes as the matter of resistance against the occupier. And then thank you so much.